Hey you guys, so we've been learning about plants for a couple of days. On Tuesday, we talked about General Sherman and can plants eat air? That's kind of a thing that we talked about, and it was kind of cool to see what such a big tree was made up of. And we found out that air and water were two things that General Sherman was made up of, besides the obvious things that you see on the outside, like the leaves and the bark and stuff like that. Today, Wednesday, we talked about photosynthesis. And photosynthesis is plants are how they make their food. And so here's a diagram of photosynthesis. And there are three things that go into making a plant's food, and then what comes out with that is also oxygen. So if you look on the left side of this diagram, for this tree, you need light. Plants all need light to survive. And where does that light come from? The sun. Okay. Carbon dioxide is another thing plants need. Typically, of course, that comes from animals, even humans, when they exhale, breathe out carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is found in the air. And then the other way that thing that plants need in photosynthesis is water. And of course, we know water comes from precipitation, whether that is from rain or snow or different things like that. And water comes in through the roots, which we're going to be talking about later this week. Okay. Now, so photosynthesis, light, carbon dioxide, and water. And what is made during photosynthesis is oxygen. And of course, we know that animals use oxygen for breathing, and oxygen is used in other things as well. And they also make sugar. And sugar is for the plant's food. So we've talked about before how plants make sugar for their own food. All right. So the products of photosynthesis are sugar and oxygen. Okay. This diagram also shows you that trees use minerals in the soil and other places to help them. So without further ado, I want to address exactly the four things that plants need for survival. On the next slide, this is a little table. And this table is really important because basically this is exactly what you need to know for your test. There's nothing that's not on this table that you need to know for your test. And I've got a little tricky way to try to remember things. So the question at the top just says, what materials do plants need? Where do they get them? And how do they get them? And those are the three things you have to know for this plant unit. So first of all, let's talk about the materials plants need. Plants need light, okay? Where does light come from? It comes from the sun, okay? And if you look at the last column, it says, how do plants get this? How do plants get sunlight? Well, it comes in through the leaves. And if you're going to be specific, it comes in through the top of the leaf, through the chlorophyll of the chloroplast. So you don't have to know that it's in the chlorophyll of the chloroplast, but it does help to know that it's at the top of the leaf that the sun enters the leaf. Okay. The second thing that plants need is air. Okay. And where does air come from? Well, air comes from the atmosphere, all of what's around us. Okay. And how does air get into the leaf? Well, it gets in through these holes on the bottom of the leaf that are called stomata. So, again, light comes in through the top, air goes in through the bottom. The third thing that plants need is water, and we talked about before that water comes through precipitation, whether that's snow or rain or something else. And how does that water get into the plant? Well, it tells you in the last column that it goes from the root of the plant up through the stem, and then it goes out to the leaves and things like that. Nutrients are the same as far as how they get into the plant. Nutrients is the fourth thing plants need. Okay, nutrients are basically decomposed plants and animals in the soil, so dead stuff that gets broken down so the plants can use it. We've talked about before, if there were no things decomposing the dead plants and animals in the soil, they'd all just be sitting on the playground and we'd be trying to dodge them while we're playing kickball and stuff. That's not cool. So we have things like earthworms and slugs and carpenter ants and things like that that break down the dead stuff, and then they put it in the soil for plants to use to help them grow. So something you're going to be addressing later is, does a plant have to have soil? Like it says here, the material plants need is the nutrients. So can that nutrient come from somewhere besides the soil? We're going to find out later. But it does tell you here in this table that the nutrients are going to go through the roots to the stems and out to the other parts of the plant. So that's an indication that whatever the nutrients come from, they have to come from underneath at the bottom of the plant where the roots are. Okay. Here's something else. I want you to notice this first column here where it says light, air, water, and nutrients. The word lawn, Lawn, is spelled with the first letters of those words. So if you're trying to remember what plants need, think of the word lawn, which Your lawn is a plant in a way, so that's kind of cool. Light, air, water, nutrients. Those are the things that plants need. And like I said before, for your test, you're going to have to know where those things come from and how those things get to the plant. So the plant parts, obviously, you can see that you need for this are leaves, roots, and stems for plants to get what they need. Now, what you're going to do next is answer 2 questions based on what I've been saying and the things that I've given you as resources like the table we just talked about. There's one question that says, what are the 4 materials that plants need for survival? Well, it's right there on the table, so check that out. And then number 2, what are 3 parts of the plant that help it get the materials it needs? I just told you those. Those 3 parts are the things where the water and the air and the light and the nutrients get in. Okay, so what are those 3 parts? And then the next thing you're going to do is go to this slide, which asks you to watch 2 video clips. They're really good video clips. The first one is a Crash Course Kids, and I don't know if you've seen those before, but they really explain things well. And the second one is about hydroponic spinach. Okay, and you're going to be listening for the answer to this question that I have up here while you're watching. Is dirt really necessary to grow a plant? Do you have to have dirt for a plant to grow in? That is the question I want you to be able to answer once you've watched both of these videos. And then, as you can see, number 3 is asking you, is the dirt really necessary? And tell me why. So both videos are going to give you kind of some different ways to look at whether a plant needs dirt or not. And then you're going to find out why or why not it does need or does not need dirt. Okay, so that's what I want you to answer in the box here. Please use examples from the videos. Don't just make stuff up, because the videos will give you very clear answers as to why or why not you need dirt. Okay, if you've ever read the book Among the Hidden, which I think you did in 4th grade, it's got Luke in it, and he's a 3rd child, and he's trying to hide because they're not supposed to have 3rd children. His dad grows things hydroponically. And hydroponics, like I said, is the topic of the 2nd video. Hydroponics means using water. So you're not planting it outside in your flower bed. So you'll see what that's about when you watch that video. It's very interesting. All right, so again, remember, the things you have to know for your test are on this previous slide. The one that shows light, air, water, and nutrients are what plants need. They get it from the sun, the atmosphere, precipitation, and decomposed plants and animals. And they get it through different parts of their plants, including their leaves, their roots, and their stems. All right, you guys, so do your very best, and we'll talk to you later.